My milkshake brings all the
girls to the yard.
And
they're like, it wasn't even ours.
Hey!
See?
We don't
Troylon's right by the mic, so.
It's gotta be vanilla.
Yeah, there.
I like chocolate.
All right, you guys ready? I'm gonna sip.
Sure.
All right. Welcome to Signal Soundbytes. I'm Brandon Peña, managing editor of The Signal, and joining me today are three cool people who are gonna now introduce themselves. Anyone can start.
I'm Michele Gibson. What up?
Hello, everybody. I think you all know me by now.
No.
Starting again. Hello, everyone. I think you all know me by now as Troylon Griffin II, assistant editor of The Signal. I'm pleased to be here on this wonderful day with these people I somewhat don't like and love.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I love you all.
What's up, everyone? My name is Justin Murphy. I'm a reporter for The Signal and soon to be not SGA president.
Soon to be not. Yes, indeed.
He's our politician.
Should I give him a title?
Yeah, because you work for the Wingspan, right?
I work for the Wingspan. I'm the graphic designer. I believe that's my title. I forget, but check out the Wingspan.
Yeah. Very awesome. And then Troylon, you're about to be an SGA senator.
Of course. Vote for me, guys.
Even though there's a vote in quotes, but
yes, I will be a senator soon.
Isn't it only like 20% of the student body actually votes?
Not even 20%.
Oh,
I think it was.
We had a total of 3.45% of the student body vote.
But that's an upgrade from the less than 1% that it originally was.
That's
so
true.
There is.
Well, maybe if we got some dorms here, people will be more united.
Those are coming. Check it out next fall.
Well, to be fair, most of the people who come here, a lot of them are kind of old because they just want to get their masters.
Okay, I think we should start over with the introductions.
I mean, it's changing though with the freshman class and new students coming in every year.
Wait a minute.
High hopes.
What's this podcast about again?
Apparently, it's about you just like really just hitting our demographic right on the head.
I'm sorry, everybody. You guys aren't. Even if you're old, you're still beautiful.
So before Troylon sinks us like the Titanic, we're gonna move on.
Hey, I watched Titanic yesterday.
Exactly why I made that point. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Clear Lake High School recent lockdown, the UHCL professor confronting Turning Point USA members on campus, and we're going to have Quick Take, which will be 3 to 4 minutes of just quick takes on recent topics. So, first up, on the morning of March 5th, Clear Lake High School went into lockdown mode at around 9 a.m. after a current student reported that her ex-boyfriend made a threat and later saw him on campus. Michael J. Guron Pickens was arrested and charged with terroristic threat. After the lockdown mode was lifted at 10:30 a.m., the protection mode was lifted at 11:15 a.m. 400 of the 2,500 students were signed out by a parent or guardian. UHCL, which is directly across from the high school, did not go into lockdown mode. UHCL police sent out a message at 10:21 a.m. through the emergency notification system stating that they were, quote, actively monitoring the situation before sending out another update at 10:48 a.m. once the two individuals were apprehended. So the first question is, in the midst of the March for Our Lives movement, do you think that UHCL should have been placed in lockdown? What are your thoughts on this?
A part of me wants to say no, because to me it just sounds like some, I don't want to call it silly, but a little bit of a silly teenage drama. And honestly, I think the high school did a good job at preventing it from going any further that it did, you know?
Yeah, I think, because I remember, where I was when it happened, because I came into the newspaper room and the door wasn't open. And I was like, why isn't the door open, guys? Why did I have to knock my way in here? And you guys gave your little explanation. I was like, oh. And I think personally, UHCL and Clear Lake High School, they're close, but, there is a bit of distance to where if those two assailants had managed to escape the high school, it would have taken them some time to get into UHCL's building because it's such a great distance. So I think that the precaution UHCL took was the right amount because, the precaution that everyone took at the high school was so good, I don't think they could have possibly escaped the police's apprehension of them.
I think that the only thing that could have been done different is letting us know sooner through the university text message and the alert system. I don't know if going into lockdown was the right thing to do. I don't think it would have. Kind of what Troylon was saying, I don't think that it would have got to the point. But then again, all these other schools didn't think that it would get to the point, you know? So I think the bigger issue is the fact that we even have to talk about this.
Yeah, because I mean, the school will alert you when there's bad weather, but when there's a possible active shooter, they should alert us as well.
So quickly before we move on, do you think that because we're in the midst of this March for Our Lives movement, that the reaction would be different, like in terms of, you know, having a lockdown, the notifications and whatnot for the surrounding areas, including UHCL? Do you think it would be different if the whole March for Our Lives movement wasn't around? Like, do you think the response would have been either more delayed, would have been more active? What are your thoughts on that? Because if this were to have happened, say, back in, I don't know, November or October, before the Parkland shooting, before the movement happened, do you think the response would have been different?
Yes. Because I think that one of the biggest things that has sparked gun control being such an issue the past few months is the fact that so many shootings happened
In a short period of time.
Yeah, in a short period of time when 2018 just started. So I think that's one of the reasons people were like, okay, now we really, really got to do something about this. Because, you know, by the time it was February, like several shootings had happened and all, as opposed to if I think this happened in November or December, I think people might have dismissed it as just another instance of something going wrong and stuff. And there might be like a few people talking about it, protesting. It just would have been the typical cycle we see. But, you know, this time it would be the cycle without the marches and without it being focused on as much and all that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for this march is that it needs to keep going for years, to be honest. Like, they need to do they need to make it like an annual event even, I would say, because it will just end up being swept under the rug if we let it slide down for even a moment, which happens a lot, like with the Sandy Hook. Not many people talk about Sandy Hook anymore. And I mean, a lot of kids in high school, when they do those presentations about it, they're going to be like, oh, why am I here? I don't really care. So you just got to keep it going and keep it going at a momentum as large as this March for Our Lives event. That's a big event. You cannot ignore that. I don't even want to say 1,000. Like, how many kids, thousands, millions of kids skip class to go in front of the White House or in front of their local Capitol and state building and are like, hey, listen up. You talking about us doing something for our futures. How can we do that if we're dead? You know, and like, why are you fearing for your life here?
Did y'all see the pictures of the inauguration versus the March for Our Lives? Like, looking down, what is that called?
Something Park.
Yeah, Washington Park or Lincoln Park, something like that. It was packed. It was crazy.
Oh wow!
How many people were there? It was like you couldn't see any ground.
Yeah, and that's the future generation. And if you really care as parents and as adults, you'd listen to us.
For sure.
Well, speaking of listening and voicing opinions, earlier this month, a video surfaced from campusreform.org showing UHCL Assistant Professor of Microbiology Michael Lamonte just engaging in a debate on campus with those tabling for the UHCL chapter of Turning Point USA. The overall Turning Point USA organization is a nonprofit that aims to, quote, build the most organized, active, and powerful conservative grassroots activist network on college campuses across the country. The subject of the debate included Russian funding, gun rights, and NASA. The professor was unaware of being recorded and stated to Campus Reform that, quote, I believe that's a violation of my privacy, but in Texas, someone can record a conversation in a public setting, such as a university campus, where participants do not have to be, where participants do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So first off, what were your thoughts on this particular situation? Did you know about this or anything?
Well, one, I think it's Montague. Sorry. Two, well, I think that I at least had heard about it relatively early. I didn't know that it was recorded, but on our previous podcast we did about gun control when the president came, she had told me about the incident, but she didn't say that they recorded the guy. Interesting. Chin stroking.
Well, she did say that she got the recording. At least I heard her say that, yeah.
Yeah, but she didn't say that it had been posted anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see. Well, I thought it was a very interesting thing. I think that it was another representation of our current political climate and stuff like that. I was a little surprised just a bit that, like, you know, the professor said it that way. Like, from the way that she described it, I thought, oh, maybe he was just joking and stuff. But then I saw the video and I was like, oh man, that's kind of intense and all.
So were you guys able to see the video for this?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't hear about it until like 5 minutes ago because I asked Troylon because he was talking about it. And what he told me, which was, I'm sure, very little compared to what the video would say, it sounds like, to me, it didn't sound very politically charged.
Oh, well, it's a very politically, because in the video, like, the guy, there's just...
He blames them, like, he's like, y'all are from Russia, and, like, Russia's doing this, and, it's just...
Yeah, it was pretty,
So I just need to go watch the video.
Yeah.
it was pretty heated and all.
So, yeah, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think that... I can't say that. I think that the video surfacing online is not an invasion of his privacy because in Texas it's a one-party
state.
A one-party state. You, as long as someone is actively engaged in the conversation in a public setting, they can record you. And I think it's also just like it speaks to our political climate right now, and everybody's on edge.
Yeah,
you know, everybody's on edge, and the fact of like, oh, what is this guy gonna say? Like, what is this guy gonna do? And I think that this just happens to show that, and it's just another thing, you know.
So, what do you think, just in general, about professors expressing their opinions on campus, especially when they're politically charged?
I think that, you know, generally it's okay, because I think no matter what, whether even in high school or middle school, even though they're not supposed to, teachers express their political views. Like, you know, if we're informed enough, we can tell within maybe the first few months of school what the political views are of a teacher or even a professor in college and stuff. So I think that guy was just exercising his right to freedom of speech and all. I guess it just depends on, you know, if you're gonna push your views on somebody, I suppose. But I guess it just depends, because, you know, a person can try to push their views on someone, and it can be in a relatively kind way to where it's not like pushing. They're just trying to inform you. But then there's push, where you're just being really harsh and stuff, or you're just being biased and all. It just all depends.
And like keeping in mind with what Troylon said, how like there's a limit to how much you need to say about your political views and how you express it. You're in college, for the most part, we're all mature enough, and this is that moment where you are open up to those views, and you have to learn how to discover what your view is for yourself. So like you're really in a place where there's no such things as, there should be no such things as labels where I'm strictly conservative, I'm strictly liberal, or left and right wing, whatever. You need to be open to everything. How else can you truly know the world if you're not going to be open to understanding it?
I think it's Dean Rakita that says in his orientation presentations that this is college, you're going to be offended at some point.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to hear these different opinions, and you're supposed to learn and get everyone else's view on things. So I think that professors kind of going along with what Troylon said, if it's in a sense of to where like you are, like the professor is like pushing their political view on you, I don't think that they're really trying to teach the students in that sense, if that's what's happening, especially if it's in the classroom. But I think outside of the classroom, we're a public university, we're a public place in Clear Lake, in Houston, Texas, Clear Lake. So it's their place to go out and say what they feel, you know.
Well, speaking of saying what you feel, do you think that students should have a right to organize and advocate politically on campus?
Oh, yeah.
So even if it's, you know, any
It's
kind
called,
of
we have an SGA. That's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It's part of our rights in the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, like I've like there was a recent article I read like a few months ago that was basically saying how, you know, a college is basically what educators call an organized anarchy, where, you know, it's this organized building, but it's a building where you can roam around and everything, and in a sense do what you want and all that. And so I think that, you know, it's natural if people want to organize or people want to get all political and everything. I mean, it's a college. Like, where do most protests and stuff like that happen? On college campuses and all, because it's a place where people that are coming of age are really developing their views, and therefore they're organizing and showing their views and all.
Any final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
I love college so much.
Well, I think as my final words, like, to me, I think that honestly the only reason this whole thing became that problematic was because I feel like it's simply because the Turning Point USA students were maybe trying to exploit the professor by saying how outlandish his claims were, that they're funded by the Russians and all. Like, I don't think they would have posted the video if he didn't say something that outlandish and everything. I mean, there is the issue about, you know, whether they should have recorded him or not, but it's like what we just said, you know, people are gonna record. Like, I could have recorded my professor today and everything and could have posted that and all. Like, there's nothing to stop me and everything. So I just think that, you know,
had his comments not been so outlandish,
outlandish,
it wouldn't have been such a big deal.
Because I've seen some of the comments and stuff people are saying on the internet. People who would agree more with Turning Point USA's politics, they are saying some harsh things about him, and you know, just saying like, wow, what the heck's wrong with this guy and stuff like that. So I think that's why Turning Point USA decided to post the video, because, you know, I think in this kind of climate, it hurts to be on both sides, and Turning Point USA and people with those comments or those beliefs do kind of have this whole idea that being conservative is hard these days, because people might want to get on you for what you believe. And so they were trying to maybe just show, hey, wow, look at how outlandish this claim was about us. We're not like that.
I think that no matter what your political views are, people are going to try to jump on you. And that's because people, like we've been saying, are so quick to be offended, and so quick, not to be offended, but so quick to defend themselves. People are listening to respond and not to understand. And that's the big issue that we have with America today. And not just with America, but with universities and everywhere else, because we're not trying to understand each other. We're not trying to see each other's points of view. We're just trying to defend our own.
And Troylon definitely respects us because he just moved away from the table to call, so we definitely appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that, sir. But speaking of quick things, we're on to Quick Take, which is quick 3 to 4 minute conversations about all these really interesting topics. So first up, the Federal Trade Commission is investigating Facebook's practices regarding privacy after it was reported that a data collection firm had access to personal data of over 50 million users. The FTC is looking into if Facebook violated a signed 2011 decree requiring the company to, quote, notify and receive explicit permission from users before staring their personal information beyond the limits dictated by their privacy settings. The hashtag Delete Facebook campaign has sparked online with those supporting the deletion of Facebook accounts. So, do you have Facebook? And if so, will you be deleting your accounts here?
Wait. Are they saying delete Facebook as a whole?
Well, they're saying start deleting your accounts, basically. So basically, getting rid of your social media when it comes to Facebook.
yes, I have Facebook. No, I won't be deleting it. But also the fact that if I Google Astros tickets, my next Facebook ad is going to be like from Vivid Seats, some Houston Astros tickets on sale for April 3rd at this time. I'm like, this is creepy. This is some creepy stuff going on here. So.
Well, I have a Facebook. I recently got one after I graduated. I'm a freshman, guys, just FYI. I don't want to delete my Facebook because Facebook is actually fun. And it's a lovely social media, and I love it. I kind of see the hype now. And I don't want to delete it because, I don't know, like, you know, people, like what Justin said, everyone has like their stories about how they search something up, then it comes up on their Facebook. I personally love when that happens and everything because it only like advertises things I would want to see. Like, you know, if I looked up something I'm not proud for looking up, Facebook isn't going to bring that up, but it only brings up things I do like. And
Flex.
Hey, no assumptions here. Anyway, so like I think I haven't had any problems with my Facebook. I like to think that my Facebook is pretty secure. I hope it is at least. But if I start seeing like some evidence that my Facebook is not very secure, then I think I'm gonna pull a move my father pulled and delete my Facebook. Only mine will not be because of silly paranoia. It will be because of legitimacy.
Yeah, and I have Facebook. I don't think I'm going to delete it because I've invested too much time into it. But my problem with it is that Facebook owns other type of social media applications as well. So just because you delete Facebook doesn't mean they can't do that same thing through other methods as well. Because I think, don't they own Instagram or something? Or was it Snapchat? One or the other.
Instagram.
Yeah, so they could just do the same thing through Instagram. So you might as well delete that too, you know? And to be honest, so far the advertising, like I've kind of agree with Troylon, it hasn't gotten so bad, you know, where they're over here advertising you something based on your social security number or something like that.
Also,
No, you can go.
I remember hearing about this, and what I think one source I looked at or that someone told me was that this whole thing is happening because the way Facebook supposedly is getting this information is from those quizzes people share online that are like funded by Facebook and stuff like that. So, and I know there were people that were like, oh, I knew it, that's why I never do those quizzes and all. And I personally don't do those quizzes. Like even the ones that look really interesting, I don't do them because, I mean, they're like the really silly ones like, oh...
You don't want to know what kind of
what's
Harry
your
Potter
magical
house you
creature?
belong to?
Or like how many kids are you going to have or who's your perfect match. And so I think I've only done one of those quizzes and it was... it was who are your best friends based solely on how you interact on Facebook. And it was pretty accurate and everything. And I don't feel like that was anything that they could get too much of my information from. But overall, I don't do those quizzes. Therefore, I'm not worried about what Facebook might have on me. Like, I do what people are supposed to do these days on Facebook. I keep my Facebook clean, and if I want to get a little in the mud, I go on Twitter or Instagram.
Okay, well...
Or Snapchat.
Getting in the mud. Well, moving on from that. Over the course of 2.5 weeks, Austin residents were the target of exploding packages. After 5 bomb attacks leading to 2 deaths and several injuries, the bomber killed himself with an explosive device. The 23-year-old left behind a 25-minute video confessing to the attacks, but did not provide explanations for why he targeted who he did. The video is said to have the bomber talking about the challenges in his life that led to the attacks. So, do you think that this video should be released to the public?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Because he has no rights as a criminal. I don't know. Let's keep going.
I think the video should... Okay, to be fair, I know with this case, this is a very unique case because this is one of those cases where police officers are withholding information about, you know, again, like the video and also how he was able to do all the things because they're afraid of people imitating it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty interesting because, I mean, there are a lot of other crazy crimes that have been happening throughout the decades and stuff that they've released, and people could easily imitate those too, and I guess they eventually do. So I'm interested in why they suddenly want to think about that now. Suddenly let's make sure they don't imitate it, so let's not release the information. But I think the video should be released and everything, because I mean, if it's just explaining why he did it, that should
because
be
the
all
video
right.
is basically like him vlogging about his struggles.
And that's essentially what it, because he doesn't talk about, well, apparently they say he's not talking about why he did the targeting or what. He basically says the things that he's gone through in his life that led to this point.
Okay.
So,
I don't see why they wouldn't release it.
Yeah.
so I mean, the essential question is it even necessary for the public to see this 25-minute video as to what challenges he went through that may have led him to this decision to do that, where it's not necessarily talking about, why he targeted who he did.
Yeah, could there be something that could have prevented this in his video? Or is there a certain, like, I don't want to call it that, but like a checklist of like, this is what he went through. Is this what all the other people
Yeah, because
felt
mental
too?
issues are becoming
their
a thing.
Yeah, their mental health. If that
More
is,
now.
if there is evidence of that.
I think the friends and families of
The victims.
the victims kind of deserve this. I mean, I know it won't bring them closure, but I think that they deserve something.
And hasn't there been debate about how they're classifying the boy, as whether he was a troubled teen or whether he was a terrorist? Hasn't there been a debate about that lately in the news? I think that video could probably help with that as well, because I think it's also becoming a race issue regarding that type of news that's starting to come out. Release the video.
Release the tapes. Release the tapes.
The tips. Well, lastly, for the last quick take topic, Vice President Mike Pence's daughter, Charlotte Pence, authored a children's book called Marlon Bundo's Day in the Life of the Vice President. The book, which benefits the Tracy's Kids charity, is about the second family's bunny, Marlon, as he follows the Vice President around for the day. Meanwhile, last week, tonight's host, John Oliver, introduced the Jill Twist authored children's book entitled A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. The book benefits the Trevor Project and tells the story of Marlon falling in love with another boy bunny. Currently, the Jill Twist book is the #1 bestseller on Amazon.com, while Charlotte Pence's book is ranked at 29th. So, is there enough room for 2 Marlon Bundo books in the world? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, can I just say, why does this bunny have the name of, like, it sounds like some kind of mafia name or something?
Marlon Brando?
Yeah. I mean, like, I was thinking that, but I was also just thinking, it just sounds like, ooh, you better watch out for Marlon Bundo or something.
I'm
I hate this
surprised
cough.
people are talking about this. About a book about bunnies.
I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, Vice President Mike Pence has been notoriously linked with being anti-LGBT
Conversion
and
therapy.
so conversion therapy and stuff. So then there's this other book that pretty much plays off of his daughter's book that talks about a bunny falling in love with another male bunny. So there's a lot of
It's
layers
so petty
to
and
this.
it's so great. Like,
There's
it's so much drama.
I feel like it's okay because bunnies will hump anything. I have a bunny. I know.
It's also interesting because, one of the main things that you should address is that, people try to say homosexuality isn't natural. Well, it's alive in the animal kingdom as well. There are homosexual animals.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not sure if that, I don't think that was their intent, but as someone who looks too deep into things, like, I can see that. It's almost like that's what they're trying to say as well, I think it was interesting.
There is room for 2
There's
Marlon Bundo.
Yeah. They're
books.
all going to be non-bestsellers in a week, so.
There you go. But yeah, check out both books on Amazon.com and make your decision there. But this is it for Signal Soundbytes. For more reporting, go to UHCL.signal.com. Thank you to my 3 panelists. And also check out the Wingspan, which is at... Do you know what the address is?
It's on the school website. If you can find the signal, you can find the
There
Wingspan.
you go.
Check it out,
He's dying, guys.
Check it out.
So before Troylon,
I think we should call this the coughing edition or something. I don't know.
we're just gonna have a whole like bloopers reel of you just coughing and having awkward moments.
Is this gonna get edited out?
Oh, that cough thing, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
What is this podcast or whatever called?
Signals and mites.
Oh, that you said Satan soundbite.
Oh.
Hail Satan!
Blooper reel. And on that note, guys, like us on Facebook and send us your comments and suggestions.
I'm
to
Troylon
Signal
Griffin the
Soundbites
second.
Stop it.
To Signal Soundbites at UHCL, thesignal.com. There you go. That is your episode, guys.
You're supposed to do your outro.
Can I do the water?
It's very
Yeah.
peaceful.
Ah, there you go. You just gotta fade it out.